Sorry about that, I'm having a hearing aid issue. Well, welcome to the meeting. Lander County Commissioners Meeting, Town Board of Battle Mountain and Austin Board of Commissioners, Highway Commissioners, September 23rd, 2021. We'll have audio, also people be on the telephone. At all times on this agenda, our approximate consideration of items may require more or less time than is scheduled. Items on the agenda may be taken out of order. The public body may combine two or more agenda items for consideration, and the public body may remove an item from the agenda or delay discussion relating to an item on the agenda at any time. Public comment is designated for discussion only. The public has the opportunity to address the commission on any matter not appearing on the agenda. However, no action may be taken on any matter raised until the matter itself has been specifically included on the agenda as in the item upon which action may be taken. Additionally, public comment may be heard on any item listed on the agenda. Persons are invited to submit comments in writing and or attend and make comments on any agenda item at Lander County Commissioners Board meeting. All public comment may be limited to 3 minutes per person at the discretion of the commission. I'm having a hearing issue today, so if I get loud, my wife is gonna calm me down. My hearing aids just decided to go out. Okay, Brian, you wanna lead us in the pledge?
Yeah. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we're gonna have a moment of silence. The Lander County Commissioners may break for lunch from 12 p.m. to 1:15 p.m. Any agenda item may be taken out of order, may be combined for consideration by the public body, and items may be pulled or removed from the agenda at any time. Commissioners' reports on meetings, conferences, and seminars. Patsy?
Nothing to report, thank you.
Nothing?
Nothing.
I don't have anything to report.
No report.
I went to the Humboldt River Basin Water Board meeting, and they got a cloud seeding program going on, and they want us to donate. It's on the agenda. But I would like to add that maybe we could get one of the cloud seeders over here on Mount Lewis, help Lander County.
Well, that'd be interesting. Did they go into the science of cloud seeding in that meeting at all? Kind of how it all works? And,
Yeah, it's a kind of a trailer setup, and they have a machine there that's got a weather station on it. When a cloud comes over, it's got the right properties for seeding. They can do it from home. They just hit the button and seed the cloud.
Interesting.
That's it?
That's all I got.
Okay, public comment for non-agendized items only. Persons are invited to submit comments in writing and or attend and make comments on any non-agendized item at the board meeting, if any, and discussion of those comments at the discretion of the board. All public comments may be limited to 3 minutes per person. Again, at the discretion of the board. Responsible restrictions may be placed on public comments based upon time, place, and manner, but public comment based on viewpoint may not be restricted. Do we have any public comment on non-agendized items?
Hey Art, would you like to go back and hit the staff reports?
Oh, I'm sorry, I cut
No
her
worries.
out. I need to go back to staff reports on meeting, conferences, and seminars attended. Thank you, Kurt.
Yeah, don't worry. So for the staff report, I just want everybody to know that our lands bill, the one out here that's behind Burt Parish's, it is in the House. There's 860 amendments, with other bills, so it's gonna take them probably into next week before we get an update on how that is. And Amadee's office is pushing for what we've recommended. We'll see where that comes out. I'll report on that later. The 25th is Nevada State Park Day, so it's a free day for all state parks. Camping, staying out, going fishing, boating, all that is free on the 25th. So anybody that wants to go out on the 25th to the state park, it's a free day. We're also in the final phases of our cultural recreation management plan out here for the land transfer that we got between Pershing County and Lander County. SHPO came back with 8 comments, and we're responding to them and working with the NNRDA to make sure that we can meet their SHPO and NNRDA's kind of working together, because our rail plan that's out there, all these things kind of changed a few of the items. So we're steadily working towards that being a completed issue. I think one of the changes was instead of 80 feet, they're going to 300 feet outside of the river that we, need to maintain for walking paths and things like that. So that is all I have to report. Everything else is on the agenda.
Thanks, Bert, sorry about that. Okay. Consent agenda, all matters. Oh, public comment.
Sorry, Art.
Sean.
Sean Baker, Lander County Rec Center Supervisor for the record. The dehumidifier project got done yesterday. It is night and day in the pool area. You guys should stop by, check it out. The gym got done, flooring finished. So the whole project is done. I will be bringing back the decimal test, like I promised in the previous meeting, just so it's on the record, so everyone knows what the decimal sound is in the pool area, but it is much quieter.
Nice.
And they got the humidifier fixed?
Yeah, everything's up and running.
Okay, consent agenda, right? All matters listed under the consent agenda are considered routine and may be acted upon by the Board of County Commissioners with one action without extensive discussion. Any member of the board or any citizen may request that an item be taken from the consent agenda, discussed and acted upon separately during this meeting. Consent agenda materials are available at the Lander County Clerk's Office for viewing, and copies are available for nominal charge. Okay, approval for September 23rd, 2021 agenda notice. Number 2, approval of July 12th, 2021 special meeting minutes. 3, approval of July 22nd, 2021 meeting minutes. 4, approval of August 12th, 2021 meeting minutes. 5, approval of August 26th, 2021 meeting minutes. 6, approval of September 9th, 2021 meeting minutes. And 7, approval of payroll change requests. And we need to,
I'll make a motion that we approve 1, 2, 4, and 7.
Excuse me, I'd like to pull one for just a quick,
Okay.
so be 2, 4, and 7, and I'll second your motion.
okay, you want to pull one, Patsy?
Yes.
Okay.
So I have a motion and a second on 2, 4, and 7.
Right.
2, 4, and 7, okay. Second.
Yeah, just call for the
Call for the vote.
call for the vote. We have a motion.
Oh, yeah, we have a motion, what's the vote?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. On number 1, on the agenda notice, just a quick comment, I would like it corrected. We have 5 pages, not 4, and I make a motion that we approve the amended agenda.
I'll second that motion.
We have what, Patsy?
It's-
5 pages, we corrected the agenda.
Oh, okay, yeah, we do have 5, okay.
And you have a motion and a second.
So just call for the vote, yeah. Aye.
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 Aye. Okay, we need on the, okay, that's next. Okay, number 1.
Could we get the school moved up to number 1? I believe they were item number 10, and they have some kids here that have to get back to school.
Yeah, come on. We can get that done really quick.
I do apologize, I didn't get back to you guys. I just got your message this morning at 8:30, so.
I'm out of practice for running the show, so it'll take me a little bit. Number 10, Battle Mountain High School for discussion and possible action to approve, disapprove high school homecoming parade permit route.
Yeah.
Hello, my name is Aiden Samuelson. I'm Battle Mountain High School Student Body President,
And my name is Jennifer Staten. I'm Battle Mountain High School Student Body Secretary.
and we are just here to ask for permission to have our homecoming parade on October 15th at noon.
And this is the same route they take every year?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
I'll make a motion that we approve the high school homecoming parade, permit/route.
I'll second that.
What night do you have the football game, Friday or Saturday?
The football game is on Friday.
Friday night.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, have a more exciting game than the class of 96. 22 points in less than 3 minutes at the end of the game. Look that one up. Okay, a call for a vote.
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Thank
Have
you,
a
guys.
good
Thanks, guys.
time.
Thank you, have a great time.
I don't think that was seconded.
JR seconded.
Somebody second? JR?
I second.
JR seconded. Okay. Okay, now we have, payment of the bills. And we need to pull check number 2130.
Will you read it in, please? Read it in.
For discussion and possible action to approve, disapprove the payment of bills. And we need to pull check numbers 213088, 213153, and 213243.
And I have one, 213241.
And 21341.
241.
241.
I make a motion, we approve the balance of the bills.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Now, we'll go back for the approval of check number 213241
Right.
for Patsy. Somebody want to make a motion on that?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
And I abstain.
And now check number
So
21308.
let's go back to that. I'll make the motion to
Okay.
pay that, and then we need a second.
I'll second it.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I abstain, thank you.
Right.
I'll make a motion, we approve the checks number 213088, 213153, 213243.
Second?
I'll second it.
In favor?
Aye.
I abstain, they're made to my employer.
Okay. Number 2, for discussion and possible action to approve, disapprove the retraction of the Lander County burn ban. The way this is working out right now, according to the latest information from BLM, is, and I had this all written down, BLM will end their fire burn on October the 15th. The state of Nevada will end theirs on or before October 30th. If you are in an established BLM campground, you can put a fire in a ring. You can't be on BLM ground camping out and just build a fire. It has to be an established campground still. Here in town, we've had rains, so I'm not too concerned about it.
So what are you looking at for the effective date?
For hours?
For us to retract, yes.
Oh, I would say today. As soon as we vote, then you can burn.
What have we done historically?
That's what we've done. To my recollection is we end the burn ban and then you can burn.
Do we usually follow suit with like what BLM does, or?
Yeah, it doesn't supersede what they're doing anyway, and our burn ban has really no teeth on it
Right.
at this point, so we couldn't
It's a
hold anybody to
recommendation.
task.
Yeah, it's a recommendation to,
Right.
Is there, anybody else have ideas on when to end it?
No?
Today sounds good to me. I propose we accept the, burn ban as ending today.
Okay, I'll second that motion.
Okay. JR made the motion, Brian seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Number 3, for discussion and possible action on whether to convert to paper ballots, another manufacturer of electronic voting machines, or to stay with Dominion, to ask the Lander County Clerk to research and then come back to this commission with recommendations on all above stated options. Sadie's not here. Well, with Sadie not being here, I guess the best route to go is to request that Bert contact the clerk and ask the DA for assistance, because in the backup material, if you look at number 1, composition of agreement, there's exhibit.
Art, please, Sadie's on the line.
Does she have something to say?
Sadie, are you there?
Yes, I am. I'm just, if you guys have any questions, I can answer them.
Okay, Sadie, where's Exhibit A and Exhibit B?
I do not have that in front of me, so I can't answer that question.
Bert, how long has Sadie had to respond to this agenda, this request?
I couldn't give a specific date, but I know that we've had, over a week is when we initially requested. I think Liz had initially requested this. Do you recall when that was?
Do you intend to get that information to us pretty quickly, Sadie?
I can have any information for you for the second meeting of October.
I can't.
I didn't know that this item was going to be worded the way that it was until Monday morning at 8:45.
Muted.
What time?
So, she said that she can have it by the second meeting in October. And I don't know that the wording of the item has anything to do with what we're asking for. I think we're asking for the full agreement, including Exhibit A and B.
Right. Okay, now I've got a question for you, Sadie. Where did you acquire the permission to use Dominion on an 8-year contract and even use Dominion? Where did you get that authority?
That's the clerk. Sorry, am I unmuted?
Yes. Go ahead, Sadie.
Dominion has been with Lander County since 2004, prior to me coming on as clerk.
Where did you get the authority to get into an 8-year contract? Okay, for the record, there's no response there.
Right, I've been advised to not respond.
Who is the Dominion project manager? Sadie, do you know?
Could you be more specific on that, Art?
I can't hear her.
She asked you to be more specific.
More specific than the Dominion project manager?
Meaning, are you asking, like, our contact, or?
Sadie, I'm asking who it is. Dominion,
Okay, so we have a sales rep, and we have other people that we work with Dominion, so there's several contacts.
okay.
May I ask?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, because it does say that we're looking at further research, so that's the whole point. But one of my concerns is some of the information that we have received in the interim, things that I think we should be looking at for further research, and one of them is Do you remember the correspondence we got from the gentleman that said he thought our software for Dominion actually was provided in China? And we were concerned about if they're providing the software, what was built in that they might be able to access. And so I think we need to look into a lot of things before we go paper ballot. Whether Dominion is out, whether another company should step in. I mean, you know, I hate to go with a lot of theories, but since we have it on the agenda, I think we should definitely do some further research. And whether you think it'll be 2 weeks or whether we should make it the agenda after, I'm fine with the time frame, but I think we need to really look very closely before we make a final decision on the Dominion equipment.
Okay, I have public
If I
comment.
may talk,
What'd she think?
this is Sadie Sullivan, Lander County Clerk again. We are still gathering this information for you to be brought before the board. And I would like to have it for the second meeting of October. And then that way we can have all information available for you.
I think that would be fine. That would actually be the 28th of October, and I'm okay with the time frame.
That way we're not piecing things together. We will have everything together.
Why do you need so much time? All this paperwork should be done.
Chairman?
Also, legal could help in on this as well because I am not legal.
Counselor?
I think you should give Sadie all the time she needs in doing this through the board. But also, I think it's, if you could ask her if we can get Exhibit A and Exhibit B as soon as possible, it would be helpful. Legally.
Yeah, I don't have any understanding of why we don't have Exhibit A and B right in front of us, because that paperwork should be in that paperwork should be in the courthouse as before this meeting. Should have had it with the contract. And that's October 17th, 2017.
In the scanned packet, there is an Exhibit A, so I'm not quite for sure what you're referring to.
Voting system agreement by and between Dominion Voting System, Inc. and Lander County, Nevada. You're not familiar with this page?
Yes, I'm telling you that in the scanned packet, there is an Exhibit A.
1, composition of agreement. Exhibits A and B are attached and incorporated herein by reference and form a part of this agreement. We don't have Exhibit A and Exhibit B.
We have Exhibit A. We
I
don't
have A,
Exhibit B.
yeah, A is in here.
No, only one page of Exhibit A is in there.
What's that, Ted?
Only one page of Exhibit A.
Yeah, what
Can you
page?
get that for me, Tasha?
It's one, so that Exhibit A is one of 7. We need the remaining 6 pages of Exhibit A, and we don't have any of Exhibit B.
Okay. Can you get that to us tomorrow, Sadie?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay,
I
Okay,
can have that for you today.
okay,
all right, I have public comments.
okay.
Matilda, go ahead.
Good morning, Commissioners. For the record, my name is Matilda Guerrero, and I'm the Democracy Manager at Silver State Voices. I'm calling on behalf of the Let Nevadans Vote Coalition. We are a coalition of 23 nonpartisan grassroots organizations that are dedicated to fair and equitable elections through advocacy, community outreach, and voter education for all.
Do something different.
We are in strong opposition to item 3, today's agenda.
I can't.
Excuse me, Matilda. Is there any way that you can get either closer to your microphone or maybe slow down just a wee bit so we can hear you clearly?
If they have it on speakerphone, you can take it off or something because it's echoey.
Yeah, it's really echoey as if you're on speaker and maybe a little bit of ways away from your mic. So if you could try that for us.
Yes, is that better?
Yeah, talk a little slower.
Slightly, yes.
So paper ballots are time consuming and they hinder the ballot counting process as it can be very tedious, cumbersome, and delay election results. This may lead to distrust in the efficiency and security of our voting process. Also, paper ballots are costly and may result in election staff shortages due to the labor-intensive work that goes into this process. It's important to acknowledge that paper ballots may not necessarily be accessible for all voters with disabilities, since some folks within this community experience barriers when attempting to independently handle, read, or mark their paper ballot. Electronic ballots, however, would eliminate those accessibility issues and protect an individual's right to an anonymous ballot. Before Lander County decides to transition to paper ballots, we urge this commission to not push back on voting rights by considering the harm it would cause to voters with disabilities and how it would undermine election security. Thank you.
I have two more public comment. Go ahead, Amber.
Good morning. Thank you, Commissioners. My name is Amber Falgo. I am the Northern Nevada Manager with Meadowbrook Progress.
With who?
In the last year, we have seen states go backwards by restricting access to voting rights. Nevada can proudly say that we have done the opposite by expanding access to voting. Our voting system is fair, equal, safe, and accurate. We urge the committee to vote no on agenda item 3, as it will take us backward and make voting a hindrance specifically to voters with disabilities. People with disabilities often need extra support to vote with paper ballots, including assistance filling out their ballot. They can compromise their right to a private ballot. In addition, switching to paper ballots is more costly and time-consuming. All of us want accessibility in our voting process, and switching to paper ballots makes it harder for people to vote. It's clear that electronic voting increases voter turnout and that voters feel less intimidation by electronic voting systems. We have a system that works very well. Our Secretary of State has done a great job of ensuring a fair and accurate voting system that was accessible to all voters. We must remember that when every vote counts, every voice matters. In a political climate that is so divisive, early, we can prove that voting should be accessible to all voters, which does not include making it harder for people with disabilities. Thank you very much for your time.
Hey, Amber, could I get who you were with again? We didn't catch that.
Sure, sorry about that. I am with Battle-Born Progress.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Amber, this is Commissioner Art Clark. I have a question for you. How did handicapped people vote prior to electronic voting?
Thank you for the question, Commissioner. And I can appreciate your concern. However, my concern at this time is not how they voted 50 years ago.
I know what your concern is. I know what your concern is, Amber. I want to know if you know how handicapped people voted before electronic voting. That's all I want.
They voted by paper, as most individuals did.
Yes, with assistance, correct?
We also have someone on the line who can speak more to this issue named Dora. Would you like to speak with her?
With assistance.
Can we kind of get back on exactly what this agenda item is? Because I think that some people are misconstruing exactly what this is. If we read that agenda item, it's clear that, to me, the purpose of this is to ask our clerk to come back to us with options for paper ballots, for electronic voting, and or not to stay with Dominion in that process. I don't know that it's clear to some of the people on the phone line that that's what this is for, is to let Sadie do her job and tell us what she thinks is the best, most secure thing, and bring it back to this commission as a report. And then the commission would be making that decision, which would make some of these comments more appropriate at that time.
Yeah, just so you know, Amber, I taught special education for 31 years. I'm well aware of handicapping conditions. Patsy?
Yes, along with the information, she did bring up a point about the cost, and I think that is something that I would like with our information, because we would have to have additional people, we know, to count the paper ballots. But I also know that our software and our contract continues with quite a bit of money every year, so I would like to be able to at least have that in our report so that we're comparing and it isn't thrown out at us and we have no idea.
Do we need a motion on this item, Ted, to agree that we give Sadie X amount of time to come back to the commissioners with the remaining information after we get Exhibit A and B tomorrow?
Commissioner, a motion would be appropriate, but what you need to do is ask Sadie how much time she needs. And give her as much time as she wants, then set it on that date with the motion, yes.
Okay. And as I read through this backup material, I really wonder about the definition of customer. To me, a customer is somebody that pays for a product. That would mean the customer would be the commission, not the clerk. So that needs to be looked into, because there were some promises, specifically back on page, the backup material, the minutes. Let me find the minutes. That Sadie would come back to us on page 87 and page 88. Sadie said that she would come back to us with more information, and I don't remember more information forthcoming from Sadie about this topic. So I just want to be clear on the record. So I guess we'll get a motion.
I will make a motion that our county clerk research the information that we have requested today and come back to this commission on October 28th so we can make the decision.
Can I have a correction on that, Patsy?
Yes.
Mark Walshin with the Secretary of State has requested October 14th, and so I would be good with the 14th. And then also, this is a legal question for Ted. When we go to agendize, may we do an item separate for all paper and then do a separate item for the additional information so it doesn't get too confused and it's more clear for the record?
Are you asking that you want two separate items so you can make two separate reports?
Correct. So that way there's not such a huge lump sum and it's more clear?
No, that makes sense to me. So if you're willing to do two separate reports on two separate items, it's fine with me, as long as it's fine with the commission.
Okay, and then also, I'm sorry, it was the first meeting of October, not the second meeting.
Okay, so if I've got this right, you do not want the second meeting. You want the first meeting so someone from the Secretary of State can attend?
Actually, Mark Walshin has put in an agenda request for that same date, so that would be an item for what Barbara Sagasti, our Secretary of State, has asked for. So that way we can have all those items in the same meeting, so if there's any questions.
Okay, I will amend my motion then to include that this be an agenda item on the 14th of October.
Would you like two items?
And we'll make it into two items.
And what, I couldn't hear the discussion, but what was the reason for the two items?
So Sadie would like to make two reports so there's no confusion, one on paper ballots alone and then another one separate of that, so we don't mix the two in the item.
That's sensible.
And we're still gonna get Exhibit A and B tomorrow. We are, yes.
And also there would be the item from the Secretary of State that's in regards to the elections as well.
Yes, that's already been requested, so that will be on the agenda anyway.
So I'll second the.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
amended motion.
Okay, Patsy made a motion, she amended it. Brian seconded the amended motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, number 4. The requested action of Lander County Commission is for discussion and possible action to accept the request for acceptance of a grant of public access and utility easement across the portion of Section 15, Township 31, North Range 45, East MDB and M. Easement will facilitate the connection of 3 existing county roads, that is, a 30 feet in width roadway and utility easement across the westerly side of Section 10, and a 30-foot in width roadway and utility easement across the southerly side of Section 10, both connecting to a 60-foot roadway and utility easement across the northerly side of Section 16, thus enabling property owners in Section 16 and areas south of Section 16 to access their property from the Section 10 easements. Oh, please, because this is all in Lander County.
Excuse me.
Press your button. Yeah.
And could you speak up just a little bit?
There you
Thank you.
Okay, I'm Margaret Ames. I live at 1916 Norman Lane, and I believe the access they're referring to is on our property that we own right west of our property on Norman Lane, I mean, where we live. And they have a right-of-way easement to go to and from. And now they want a utility easement. The way I read the deed from back in the 60s, it sounds like it's just for ingress and egress, not for utilities, and we would prefer not to have any utility poles and that kind of thing along this easement.
Brian, will you ask Ted if you can hear her?
Ted, can you hear our guest?
Yeah, I kind of heard her. If she's contesting this, I would ask that the commission table this and give me time to research what she's saying.
Ted's asking if we could table this to give him time to research what she's saying.
Yes, so I believe this item was put on by Kent Mayer. I think it's in your guys' backup.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he's on the line and wants to speak to it, or if not, then
Mr. Mayor? Mr. Mayor?
apparently.
Maher, are you on the line?
Maher, sorry.
Mr. Maher.
I apologize.
He's not on.
Muted.
Okay. Ted requested.
Unmuted.
Ted requested more time to review this, so.
Just table it.
And I made up some packets for everybody to review, and I had a couple of neighbors, a couple of them are homebound, so, but they wrote up a letter
Okay.
to the commission, and I don't know how many I need, I made up 10.
Oh, no, that's fine. If you give it to Bert, Bert can make
All of
copies
them?
and we'll put it on the next agenda, and then that way our council
Well,
will
I'll
be
keep
able
one
to
for me, and
review.
you can have the rest.
You bet. You bet.
Thank you.
I just need one. I can make copies if need be.
Well,
if
of
you'd
course
like
I
spares.
did that, no, I
Okay.
did that, so,
So Bert, you'll just automatically put this on the next,
You bet.
we'll table this.
We'll
till
table it, put it on the
meeting.
next agenda.
Okay.
okay, and, can I be notified of it? I wish I was notified of these,
Would you
matter of
please
fact, I
notify-
wish neighbors were
Okay.
Well, it will be on the next one.
Okay,
Yeah.
oh, okay.
We will.
And I wish neighbors could be notified of anything that's going on in any of their neighborhoods. I don't know if that's possible, but
So typically on things like this, because these easements are already in place,
Right.
so it's just kind of standard business. If it was a new easement, then there'd be notifications sent out to everybody, and people would have to,
Well, like
everybody
the-
within certain distances of that property gets
The neighbors
noticed.
up the road would probably have comment on it if they knew about it, but I can't call most of them because they don't have the phone number listed, so.
That's okay. We will let you know about it. It's like I said, it's going to be on the next agenda. It is just a standard easement, so it wasn't anything new. Nobody's trying to take anything per se. And I wish that Mr. Maher was on the line because then everybody could speak to it. Myself and Ted don't really have anything in this other than it's a lane that it passes through. This is kind of more between.
Well, and I wish like you guys could even come out and look at it to see what we have. And one of the issues one of the neighbors brings up is the dust that, of course, it's on the west, so the west blows all the dust our way.
Yes, sir.
And we think that an access point and utility should be further away from houses because of the dust.
Yes, so I think if I'm not mistaken, you might want to try to abandon the easement that's already on your property. If
that would be possible, yes.
Okay, and even if you did, just for sake of the record, for everybody to understand, if they came forward with an easement on their side of the property, they could still put a road in on that side, but the whole easement would be taking up on their side of the property as opposed to yours. And I think that it's already existing. It's just trying to be utilized at this point for additional access.
Well, it's there, and that makes it far easier for
Yes.
everybody.
Yes, so just for clarification, and there's a whole bunch more that I don't know about this, so I don't want to misspeak because this easement has been a ongoing learning curve for us. And me and Ted can do a bunch of research, but I think that this becomes almost, the county is only going to do what we can do as far as what easements are giving to us, and then we implement that. Outside of that, it's all civil.
I really understand that, but like we try to get along with people, but if people don't want to get along with us, we have a problem.
Yes, most certainly.
Yeah, I understand that.
Thank you.
I guess I can leave?
Yes, thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
It'll be on the next agenda.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Uh-huh.
Okay, number 6, for discussion and possible action.
Number 5.
Oh, 5?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna spend mine. On 5. Oh, for discussion and possible action, approve, disapprove the job description for Lander County part-time library assistant. Very good job, Bert.
So we're currently running this job. We're advertising for it. If there are any changes you guys would like to make to this job description, that will be given to the applicants at the time of interview. Otherwise, we're hoping to have somebody hired before the end of the month so we can keep everything rolling.
Excellent.
I just would like a clarification on the very first page. When it comes to number 3, it says conducts any library or media center tours for all ages, gearing activities and presentations to all age level from any and all requests. Does that actually mean that they will be expected to do some type of programs within the library?
I don't know that they're expected to actually implement the program. I think that if it's requested from, then they would spearhead it.
Okay,
I
so
don't know
if
that they are
nobody-
actually going to set up programs because we don't have a protocol per se yet for them to set up a program.
Okay, we'll say that we wanted children's reading hour. If somebody requested it, then that's the one that says, yes, they should comply.
Correct.
It doesn't mean the librarian will say, I'm going to do a reading hour.
No.
I got it. So all the requests come from
Outside.
or us, right?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
We have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the job description for Lander County part-time library assistant.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor? Oh,
Aye.
public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That's a good job. I don't know where you got the information.
You can thank Liz for that. 100%
Thank you,
Liz.
Ms. Liz. Number 6, for discussion and possible action to approve, disapprove Lander County contribution in amount not to exceed $3,500 for Desert Research Institute to to conduct cloud seeding operations in the Humboldt River Basin. I spoke with Dan Tamara, he's the chairman of Pool Lock, and he recommends this, so that's my recommendation, being connected with Pool Lock.
So the cloud seeding is to be able to where we can produce some rain, correct? So are there, historically, have we ever done this? Have any other county done it?
We
Is
did,
it
actually.
cost effective?
Yeah, this I sat on the Central Nevada Regional Water Authority when they did this originally. And it was like way back in 2012 or something like that. It was very successful.
Wow.
Very successful, and they were all pleased with it. And our presentation was like 2 hours long, I think, for all the scientists and engineers and everybody that was there to do it. But I think it's kind of exciting to try. I hope they don't fall short of their goal, because their goal is right now 35,000 short. But they're just asking the different counties that belong for the 3,500. So
Does anybody know the procedure of seeding? When they say seeding, what is the seed?
I have not. The JR might know. I wasn't.
They use propane and, what do you call it?
Iodine crystals?
Yeah, something similar to that. And they have, the way it's set up, they have a weather station with the little unit that puts the stuff up in the air. And it's monitored from somebody at home. And when they, a cloud that comes over that's ripe for seeding, then they'll go ahead and seed it. It'll add snowpack to the top of the mountain and water in the valleys.
Wow.
Okay. Bert, would you get in touch with Jeff Fontaine? Ask him to come and explain how this works. I know he likes to travel.
I gave Bert all the information on that. Or,
Okay.
Yeah, I'll ask Jeff to show up and give a presentation on how exactly the cloud seeding works, and
Yeah.
and maybe then at that time he can update us on what kind of funding they're receiving, so the likelihood of this actually taking place.
So is there a possibility that we're going to defer this and put it on another one? They need it by November. They're going to start November through April, so they do need to know right away. So we couldn't delay any more than the next one. But I also would like to see if maybe we could read the agenda item, like for a minimum of 3,500, in case we would be able to look at our budget somewhere and be able to do a little bit more if they're short. Would that be okay? At least we can look at it.
So we're gonna table this item, and we're gonna ask Mr. Fontaine to come, and we'll write the agenda item so that we can, a minimum of 3,500. If we choose to give more, we can contribute more to this project, based upon the presentation. How does that sound? Okay?
Okay.
Okay. We're gonna go to number 7. Oh, this is everybody's favorite. For discussion and update on Lander County cricket abatement.
So I'm going to ask and see if we can't table this one as well. I have a gentleman that will come and give us the presentation and let us know. He couldn't make it today, but he'd be happy to show up and let us know where the funding is and what they have and haven't done and where it's going in the future.
Okay, we'll table that one.
Art, can we take a break? Can we take a break?
We're gonna take a 10-minute break.
Muted.
Oh, there we go. Okay, we're back in business, folks. Agenda item number 8, discussion of possible action to approve, disapprove Lander County liquor license. We're gonna have to stop this meeting and go to the,
Can I read on your agenda? You got your agenda handy?
yeah, okay.
Yeah, do the region meeting. There you go.
Okay, we're gonna recess the Board of Lander County Commissioners and convene the meeting of Lander County Liquor Board, comprised of the Lander County Commissioners and the Lander County Sheriff. And for the Lander County Sheriff, we're gonna have Under Sheriff Robert Quick.
Now you can read in number 8.
And I'll read this this in. Discussion and possible action to approve, disapprove Lander County liquor license for Cindy Ayala, DBA Tagra L. Gavilan? Okay, sorry about that. It's been a while since I took Spanish too.
Good morning, Robert Quick on behalf of the Lander County Sheriff. This is an application that, if you recall, was brought before you on the last meeting, and there were some questions regarding that and the vote, and so therefore we brought it back. This is an individual that has applied for both a caterer and a mobile food facility liquor license for the county, and the Sheriff's Office has done the due diligence background on the individual and find no disqualifiers, and therefore recommend approving both the catering and the mobile food facility license based on the ordinance.
Okay. Ted, would you chime in here about your concern?
About my concern? Well, I don't have a concern. I just want to make the commissioners, the board, aware that there's a potential liability problem. I'm not suggesting it's a strong one, but it's a development of a new policy. If you decide to give the applicant approval, then what you are doing is allowing them to sell liquor without a permanent premises. So they will be giving alcohol to people who in all probability will get in their vehicles with an open container and drive. And I want the commissioners to be aware of that in formulating their decision. Further, if they decide to do this, then anybody with one of these things can, with the same type of setup, can come and request one. And thus you're going to have a food truck going from place to place, and no matter where that food truck is, they will have the right to give alcohol to people, and without a set premises. So that's all. It's up to the commission, or it's up to the board. I think the commission. It's up to the board, but I just want them to know that this is a new task. This is a policy decision.
Can somebody
Brian,
tell me what his fine points were? Because I couldn't understand.
Well, I'll try in a little bit, and I'll let Liz chime in on what I missed. I had some concerns, not with the catering, because everybody's in one area at a party or whatever, but with the mobility, when you walk up to a food truck and you get an open bottle of beer or whatever you have, and a liquor, and then you get back in your car with your sandwich and drive away. And that was a real concern for me. Ted pointed out that it is allowed as far as our ordinance, and that's was Kathy's problem. She said, if the ordinance allows it, then do we have to allow it? And he said, no. But if we do, it's a precedent, and we can't deny anymore. So we're making a precedent right now whether we are going to allow the mobile food trucks sell the liquor there. That's basically it.
Because if we approve it, there's a liability that comes with that.
Yes, so, and correct me if I'm wrong, Robert, there are two that you need to approve. The catering one and then the mobile one. So you can approve one, or you can approve both, or you can approve neither one of them.
My concern centers around, if it's cold out and somebody pulls up at lunchtime, they get their food, they get a couple of beers, they're gonna go sit in their car. That's open a container just like that. So I'm all for the caterer, but on the alcohol, I've got concerns about that.
Let me just ask this question. I want to make sure I understand. So how would that be different though if somebody went into like one of our convenience stores and bought a burrito for lunch and then a couple cans of beer and went and sat in their car? How is that different?
That'd be the same thing.
It's the same thing, but what I believe is when they're serving, do you have to open it to give it to them?
No, we don't. We don't have to.
Because that would be a problem if they give them an open container.
Correct.
And
Yeah.
I see the liability associated with that.
If you're more comfortable with a closed one, we're okay with that. want to take my business to the next level. I'm the only provider in my house and have 2 kids, so I just want to do the right thing.
If you
That's
go,
what you feel comfortable with. Closed containers, I'm okay with that.
the big difference is premises. If you go to the Maverick and you buy a beer and a burrito, and you're sitting on their picnic table, they have a premises where you can consume your alcohol, opposed to no premise where you have a private vehicle that you drove up in. I mean, if you're walking away, I don't think there's an open container if you're walking, but the problem is the vehicle, that's where I see the issue.
Yeah,
And I think what Ted was emphasizing on is if you approve this one, this is the very first one, so it sets policy, so
precedent, yeah.
It sets
all
a
food
precedent.
trucks would then be able to be allowed.
Does anybody have a motion on this item?
I'll make a motion that we approve the catering permit for the Cindy Ayala, Taqueria El Gavilan, but just the catering permit.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion on the floor, seconded. Any public comment?
I have one. Last meeting, you guys ended up redoing
You
the
need to
voice
come
vote
up here,
technical question. It's not
introduce
really a public
yourself.
comment. But last time we stopped because of vote, you were missing Brian, and you said we didn't meet the quorum. Is that
Right.
still the problem?
Yes, they still have to have at least 4 votes.
I thought we had to have enough people.
No, they just have to have 4 votes.
Oh, on
because
the
it's a
same-
6 board member.
I got you.
So, let me make sure, so with the catering, we already currently have people that do stuff like that, right?
Right.
Other vendors that will go and cater events, sell alcohol and, okay.
If you're catering a special event, like you go to the park on 4th of July, you get, I think it's $20 and you get a permit for that event, and then you can sell alcohol. Is that how it works, Robert? Right.
Okay.
So there's still a way for Cindy to sell alcohol, but it would have to be at a special event, and she would have to have a permit for that event.
No, she would not have to have a permit if you give her a caterer's license.
If you give her a caterer's license, you don't need the alcohol permit for a special event?
That's what you're
You're giving her one.
approving her. You're approving that right now.
The caterers is the all-time, not
Okay,
one, but any catering she does.
Oh, okay.
Which we currently have other people in town that do that
Right.
type of, that sort of
I
stuff.
think what Art was saying is she can still go get, if there is an event and she wants to sell alcohol out of her trailer, she can then get the special permit to do that at the event.
That's exactly what I
Yes,
meant.
yes.
Exactly.
But she doesn't need to if you give her this license.
If we give her the catering license, she can sell beer at a special event without getting the special event alcohol permit?
Yes.
Cause that's how it's,
That's,
Yes.
but I think that's how it's currently set up. I mean, with other vendors that cater events.
So the one you're approving is for catering. The other one is she cannot sit in her food truck and just sell alcohol all the
right,
time.
just
Yes.
catering
Yes.
is the way I understand the motion. Okay, I'll call for a vote.
I have question. I wanna know how come,
Come up to the front, Mom.
Introduce.
what is the difference?
You need
What
to,
is it-
you need to state your name for the record.
Oh, Carolyn Sparks. What is the difference if they do it at a special event or she does it all the time? Like they park, they sell it, that person could go get in their car and drive. They're
Well,
just as liable as she would
I
be.
think the difference of being when you cater an event, it's an event. So let's say,
That's calling the kettle black.
Wait, let me finish. They're gathered in a location, usually celebrating a party. They're there, you know what I'm saying, at that premise. It's not like you're giving them a beer with the idea that you know they're gonna get right back into their vehicle and potentially drink. You could go to a bar and hop in a vehicle and operate.
Well, that
And
depends,
that's the thing, is that we're trying not to set a precedence.
right?
And then the liability that's associated with it because we're setting a new policy. That's what we don't want.
Well, it's all up to the person then. So
Well,
if the
absolutely
person
it
buys
is,
it,
yeah.
they could
In
go
all
get in the
cases,
car.
yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
But there's a premises for the event, and that's the park.
But still, you're selling alcohol and it still has the same purpose.
Well, I think you're really slicing it thin there, because an event is a lot different than just a truck sitting in a parking lot.
On a daily basis.
Or you're doing it once a year or doing it every day of the year. Okay, I got it.
You got it? Did your son explain it well?
I have a question. Kayla Millsap, for the record. What's the difference of her selling alcohol out of her taco truck than somebody driving through the drive-thru at Baker's Brew and getting their alcohol drinks?
They have premises.
But they're in the drive-through and they still drive away.
They can turn around and park and consume on the premises. If they drive away, so sad too
The
bad.
only difference
The
being there.
premise for the food truck is wherever stationed.
There is a difference. One's a fixed location. What I was saying was the only difference would be she can serve out of multiple locations. That's the only difference. But it's the same
But
idea.
it's the same concept.
Absolutely.
You
yeah.
still drive through
Yeah.
Baker's Brew and get an alcohol drink and drive away.
You still gotta drive out of there.
So
Yeah.
Technically.
Yeah, exactly.
They're
Ted,
on
that's
private property.
Ted, do you have a legal opinion on that?
No, there's not much difference on that. I'm just pointing out that you're establishing a policy. I don't have an opinion one way or another whether it should be done. I'm just saying that it has far-reaching consequences. Just when you gave Baker's Brew a license with the drive-in, that also had far-reaching consequences.
My only concern was the fact that we as a county could have a potential liability. But how could we have a potential liability if that would be saying like we'd have a potential liability with Baker's Brew? We don't. So how could it be with this just because we set this policy? I mean, because the responsibility boils down to the person who's getting in their vehicle operating that piece of machinery. So it's, yeah, so interesting.
The difference
I'm
is,
not familiar with the type of license that Baker's Brew has. So
the difference is the fixed or mobile. That's it.
Yeah, I don't really see an issue with it.
And I didn't want to go
honestly.
mobile.
And foreseeable. If it's foreseeable that there's gonna be a problem, where does the negligence lie?
Well, I'm not an attorney, so
Yeah.
I don't know. Robert, did you have something to say? No? Okay.
He does the background, and that's all properly done.
Robert Quick for the sheriff's office. Ted, do I have to vote for the sheriff since the sheriff's not here?
yes, did he if he gave you his authority to vote for him, yes.
Okay, so the sheriff's office opinion is that if, I understand the difference between the ordinance that was just passed recently and the policy being set, but if you're not going to allow mobile food facilities to sell liquor, I'd request we amend the ordinance again to take it out.
And I think that's proper, yes, if we don't approve this.
Well, honestly, just listening to the testimony we've heard just now, I mean, I don't see an issue with it really. Personally, I don't. To where I don't see how, like I said, I don't see how it would be different than Baker's Brew. Just because the place is not fixed, and it can be on this corner one time, this corner one time. I mean, if you're an adult and you buy a beer, you have responsibilities to make sure you wait to drink that beer until you get home. As long as she our guest here said that she would not provide it open. It'd be up to the
But she
customer to
can.
open. Huh?
But she can. And
Well, then
anybody
that's
working
when
for
my
her, or
liquor
she
license
changes
can
her
be
mind tomorrow.
revoked, and I'm okay with that. I'm obviously gonna do the best to look out for our customers, even if I have to put a sign, whatever.
Okay, but our license will not be, we can't approve it on condition that you do not, is what I'm saying.
Oh, I see.
So you can
Commissioner,
change anytime you want to.
Commissioner, you
And I
absolutely
just-
can put a condition on it.
I'm sorry?
You absolutely
Yes, you
can put a
can.
condition.
You can't condition it. There's two things here you need to.
You can condition the license for
And
off-site sale.
and even if we do, I don't know whether that would make any difference because they've got their food right there. And that's different when you go and buy a six-pack in in any place that has a liquor license to sell. You can do that. But when you're walking up mobile and eating at a mobile food truck, you're eating right there. And that's what I'm saying. I think all it does is it reduces the risk for someone to drink and drive. And I think if we can reduce it and leave it to the place to sell that have fixed
Every bar on the
places.
corner, every supermarket, every
It is,
food style
but
sales, I mean,
it
you're
is, it truly
increasing
is.
the risk of somebody
And
drinking
it's
and
totally up
driving.
to
It's
all
just-
of you.
It's just like we're basically speaking now for, we're trying to be responsible for another adult when they're responsible for themselves, and I don't think we should be making a decision for somebody who's trying to grow a business based on, because somebody potentially is not going to be ethical.
I have a comment. What would be the difference if she carried a couple tables and chairs with her and out in front of her food truck every day she set up, she put a table and chair out there?
And
There you
that's
go.
actually
It
what I
gives
was
her-
thinking of doing. I was actually thinking of moving to a property next to McDonald's and setting up, because we'd have more space and we'd set up little canopy tables and chairs.
Yeah, and then be no difference.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor, we can do one of two things. We can either abandon the motion and combine the two, or vote on this, and somebody can make another motion on the alcohol issue.
I don't think anybody seconded it, so it dies.
Okay.
It just dies.
Okay, so we need another motion.
Well, I would make a motion that we approve the catering and then the sale of alcohol from the mobile, how would I word that?
It's mobile food facility. is the
Mobile
title
food
of the license.
facility with the contingency that not an open container given to a customer. That it would be the responsible of the customer to open their own
And,
alcohol.
Can I make a comment?
and the proprietor will provide a table and chair for people to sit there. You can do that?
I can do
Okay.
Would you add that?
Yeah, I would add that. There's a comment here though.
Stephanie McCoy for the record. I have a comment on the second motion because if you've already allowed, what your district attorney is saying is that you don't want to set a you'll set a precedent of whether or not you allow taco trucks or mobile facilities to sell alcohol. You've already set that precedent by allowing Baker's Brew to sell drive-through alcohol, so there's no difference whether she has a table or chair or not. If the argument is that someone might continue driving on when they've received an open container of alcohol. So you don't want it to be discriminatory against her if you've already allowed it for someone else, so.
The difference,
I mean, there's not a distinction if you've already allowed the drive-through alcohol to be an open container. So to now limit her to not be able to open her container or to have a table or whatever it would be, isn't really a proper distinction.
Sean, when you serve alcohol to a customer through the drive-through, do you provide it? You don't provide an open container to them, do you?
No, it's closed.
Okay. That's the distinction that I would like in the motion, that we don't provide an open container to somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it has the.
hey, come on.
No, I'm talking about alcohol.
Yeah. They come in their coffee.
Please, if you have something to say, come up here. That's the way to do it. Thank you, Sean.
And another thing, Sean Baker for the record, what about the golf course and no different than buying a six-pack and getting in a golf cart?
The difference is, according to what I was told by Ted, is premises. You have a premises to
Yeah, but then it
consume.
becomes the responsibility of the person who's buying the alcohol, and that falls on the sheriff's department to police them.
The difference is premises, Sean.
Okay.
If you,
Well, I'm not a lawyer, so I'm not gonna argue that, but I mean.
are you responsible for the food truck that was on your property yesterday?
No.
You sure?
I guess I'm not sure,
This
so.
is a gray area.
It is a very gray
And
area.
the difference is, she's on private property that belongs to somebody else. She has the permission to be there.
Yeah, did the owner give you permission to sell alcohol out of your food truck? Have you talked to Mark?
Yes,
And did he say yeah?
yes.
So, if the red food truck come to me and asked to sell alcohol out of their deal on my property, I'd tell them yeah too.
You tell them,
I would tell them yes,
okay,
if they had the proper licensing from the county.
in competition with you.
Yeah, it wouldn't bother me one bit.
Okay.
Competition's always good.
So we need a motion.
You have a motion. Brian made the motion.
Second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
For the record, could we recap the motion?
Hey, I think Robert gets a vote too though, right? The sheriff's department gets a vote.
Made a motion to approve both.
Okay.
So my,
Yeah, but
basically, yeah,
Yeah,
but I,
with some conditions.
yes, exactly.
I need to know what
right.
the conditions are, to be clear.
What's that, Robert?
Can you repeat the conditions of the?
Yeah, so my motion was to approve the catering and the sale of liquor from a mobile food facility. And I would like that to be put in to where we don't serve an open container to somebody, it's that customer's responsibility to open their own container. Because I think if we set a policy that allows that, then I don't see how we could not have some share of liability in that. So, and then it becomes their responsibility as adults to do what they're going to do.
Can I comment on that? I don't know.
Come on up. Please come up.
Again, the distinction between what Mr. Baker's doing and putting a lid on alcohol then would have to be the definition of what she does for a closed container. Otherwise, you have a distinction that isn't proper for both parties. So unless you're gonna amend it, I'm not suggesting you do, no one wants to go and buy a coffee and have a closed thing of Bailey's and pour it in there. But if the distinction is that you can put a lid and a straw in the alcoholic coffee, then she could put a lid and a straw in a michelada or whatever else she's serving and serve it to the patron just the same way.
Right.
But hers is a mobile license, Sean's just not. So if this is what we're setting for our mobile license, we can say, don't open. And it doesn't really have anything to do with
So
Sean.
that's the difference.
Because
He's
he
got
doesn't have a
fixed
mobile
location,
license.
She's not, and that could be the difference.
And that's what Ted was saying too.
Yeah.
Premise.
But I wouldn't limit her, and I wouldn't limit the red food truck or any other food truck that wants to come to town and set up shop.
Well, I don't think we're limiting them, we're just talking the difference, or you pop the top or you don't.
Oh, I agree with that.
You know, it's
Yeah,
like
I'm fine with that. I'm just saying, in her defense, I support it.
Yeah, I think it is limiting for her if she were to serve a michelada or something and someone has to pour it themselves or whatever it would be that she were providing. And if the safety measure is that you're not gonna allow someone to drive away with an open container of alcohol, you're already allowing that. So why would you not allow that on a walk-up if you're already allowing it in a vehicle?
I see your point.
That's presumptively going to drive away or they wouldn't have gone through the drive-through.
I now duplicate what you're saying. It's no different if you go to our Mexican restaurant in town and you get an order to go, because I like their micheladas and I do it all the time.
Or margarita.
And they put it in
I've
a
done
thing
that
with a thing on
before,
it,
too.
you get home and you drink it when you get home.
It would
So
limit what she were able to
I see
serve
your-
and what you were able to
yeah.
buy as a patron. So
I was thinking in
it's-
terms of beer, so I see
think
your
it's a
point.
safety measure that you've already allowed for.
Yeah,
And
I
it's
see
not
your
a
point.
distinction that's necessary in my personal opinion.
Yeah.
But back on that, Brian, I've gone to the Mexican restaurant, ordered a margarita with the straw and everything, and walked out too.
Yeah, exactly. So I honestly, guys, me personally, and it's just me, I don't see a darn difference. I don't think we
No,
should.
and the person buying the alcohol, they're the ones that are responsible for their actions.
That's right.
So if they get in a car and they wanna drink and drive, then it falls on the sheriff's department to police that or not police that,
Yeah.
but they are responsible for their own actions.
So I'll amend my motion to approve both without the contingency.
Commissioners, you could just put a condition on it for beer, that beer will not be open.
Ted just said you could limit the condition to beer cannot be open.
No.
It can't be opened by the proprietor.
Again, it's kind of like, I think it's unnecessary, personally, but, so my motion stands, how I just rephrased it.
You
so.
can also walk into any bar here, buy a beer, walk out, get in your truck with the bar, or the beer, and drive
Sean,
away.
You can sit at the bar and drink. If you
You can.
choose to go out, that's a bad decision. That's the difference. You have a premises to consume.
I totally
We need to
understand
kind
that.
Bring it back on
Yeah, we
the
gotta stay back onto the,
let's get
actual
Sorry, guys.
item.
Okay, but we're not just talking beer, we're talking liquor and wine. Whatever she chooses to sell is the license.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, Brian's motion's on the floor, JR seconded, are you seconding the amended motion?
Yes.
Right, and I'm calling for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 I'm opposed, thank you.
Motion passes.
So then we,
It passes, you
It
have to.
passes. Okay, number. What? Oh, yeah, we're gonna adjourn. Who wants detention back there, Sean?
I'm joking.
You are. Okay, we're going to adjourn the meeting of the Lander County Liquor Board and reconvene the meeting of the Lander County Board of Commissioners. Okay, number 9, 8, 9. For discussion, possible action, approve, disapprove road closures for the annual flu pod, October 21st. 2021, roads be closed are Palmer Street and West Humboldt. I think this is just a formality, we do this every year. Any
I thought we don't have the flu anymore.
Yeah.
That's a joke.
For what of it still exists. The health nurse couldn't make it today because they were short-staffed over there, but there won't be any, this is solely for flu, just for clarification for the public. I've had a couple calls wondering if they're going to be administering the COVID vaccine, and they will not be. This is solely for the flu pod. If you'd like the COVID vaccine, reach out to the hospital.
We actually do have a flu strain that we're inoculating against?
I guess.
Interesting.
Need a motion?
I'll make it. Go ahead.
I propose a motion that we approve the road closure for the annual flu pod, October 21st, 2021. Roads to be closed are Palmer Street and West Humboldt.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, any public discussion on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Everybody votes aye. Okay, number 10.
Number 11. We did 10
Oh, yeah,
already.
we did 11.
Hey, Art, so on number 11, Summit Engineering has requested that we table this. I think Tom had an unfortunate fall, so he couldn't make it to this one, but they could possibly make it to the next one.
Okay, at the request of Summit, we're gonna table this again. Oh, where are we at? Number 12? We're 12 already?
Yep.
Okay, folks. For discussion and possible action regarding the performance evaluation of Bartolo Ramos, including but not limited to termination, suspension, demotion, reduction in pay, reprimand, promotion, endorsement, engagement, retention, or no action at all, matters properly related to therefore per NRS 241.031.
Yeah, I know we got a letter or two from some community members. They wanted read into the record. Who wants to read those into
I'll
the record?
read one of them.
You got it? Okay.
Yeah. Okay, this is a letter that has been requested to be read in from Amy Nelson. I am compelled to write this letter regarding the performance evaluation of Bartolo Ramos. At this unprecedented time, not all Lander County residents are aware of how close to the precipice we are as a nation and do not fully grasp many of the decisions the leaders of our country have made to protect and prepare us. I greatly appreciate and want to recognize the courage and fortitude of our county for taking the lead in upholding your oaths. Lander County, under the direct leadership of Bartolo Ramos and the DA and the commissioners, has fought and continued to fight to protect our inalienable rights protected by the United States and Nevada constitutions. During the past weeks and months, Mr. Ramos has faced almost daily challenges from the pandemic and its impact on our country socially, legally, politically, medically, and financially to the day-to-day operations of our county. Mr. Ramos has approached each challenge with a perspective of what is best for Lander County. Several times I'm aware of personally the community has not been fully aware of some of the political, legal, and financial implications of Mr. Ramos and the commissioner's decisions. However, Mr. Ramos and the commissioners did not waver and have taken the pushback that comes with making difficult decisions. It takes leaders with courage and strong character, and Mr. Ramos certainly exemplifies these characteristics. An additional strength of Mr. Ramos is his relationship he has built with the DA and the commissioners. I appreciate each of you and Mr. Ramos for your tenacity and personal sacrifice during this time of attempted division. The continued openness, difficult communications, and hard choices to best meet the needs of Lander County residents as the population in your care is valued and appreciated. Finally, I feel it necessary to recognize the patriotism exhibited by Mr. Ramos and the Commission and county leaders as this county, state, and country have faced the eroding of our freedoms. Thank you for the constant vigilance as our constitutional rights have been breached and the state and federal government had exerted unprecedented authority to invade the privacy of citizens and have exercised misplaced federal and state control. The chaos that has resulted from the pandemic, social unrest, and riots and the government overreach akin to nothing as Americans and Nevadans have seen in our lifetimes are threatening to erase many of our freedoms. With sincere appreciation and gratitude, Amy Nelson. Who wants to start?
I thought we had two.
No, I thought there was a couple, it must just have been one. Okay.
Just one letter?
Yep.
Patsy? Do you want to start?
Do you want me to start?
Yeah, sure. Let me throw that in.
Okay. First of all, I don't think we have the continuity between the commissioners and our evaluations this year. We were offered several different evaluation performance reviews, and so we had an opportunity to choose any one that we wanted to do. So the one I chose did not have numbers to it, because we often assign numbers, and if we give them an excellent, it's a 5, and if it's a moderate, it's a 4, etc. So I'm not doing that. That wasn't my choice. So mine was on just strictly general information. And I have it, I did fill it out, and I have it ready for his personnel file. First of all, let me start by saying I sincerely appreciate the focus that he has had since we hired him a year ago, last July, actually. I don't think that anything has been more difficult than for someone who started a new job. Number one, he didn't have the credentials of education to become a county manager, so he was working with just his own experiences and the research he could do. And then he was hit with all the things that we've just talked about and Amy brought up. It's just been an awful year for every one of us. So I think that during that, I was just extremely pleased with the way you took a hold of it and the things that you did. And I certainly applaud you for that. I think Lander County was very, very fortunate. In the comments of things I'd like to see different, I would like to see you go on and continue your management education and your leadership courses. I think that that certainly will benefit you being in your role. And now there's a lot of nice ways to do that. Some courses are longer than others, but I think it's extremely important. Since I'm on the topic of education, I'm going to say I also think it's important that you encourage your staff to continue with classes and training too, the very same way. I think that's what it's all about, to learn more about the federal, state, and the county government. I also would like you to bring forth your goals for us, 5-year, 10-year goals, and your vision of the county. And I think that's important because we look to you, and I know that you not only handle the whole county on a day-to-day basis, but we look to you for the input that you have for our commissioners, because you're the one that makes our job really a whole lot easier. I also would like to see you a little bit more active in the community, organizations and boards. It actually promotes the understanding and support of the Lander County citizens, and that is part of your job description. I don't think there's been any time in the part you've been with us, but in hoping that you'll be able to do that, because I think that's an important part. I mentioned staff, but in our agenda meetings, I know you often take a moment of time to acknowledge the achievement and accomplishments of your staff. And I think that's important. And so we don't have any idea what your evaluations are, of course, or what you suggest. But I appreciate the fact that you do bring forth their achievements to us, and I think that's important for us to know too. With the current mask and COVID situations, I think I would like you to keep us a little bit more informed on that and what's going on in the community. And we just don't get a lot of general information, and I think that's an important part because it's a very difficult part. I do appreciate all the research that you have managed to do, though, to perform your daily job. And that's been very evident with the letters you write. Sometimes it's to constituents, and sometimes it's to attorneys, and sometimes it's to associations and that we belong to, everything from wildfire to our agriculture boards and whatever. But I think in getting copies of those, you've done an excellent job. And I know that's a difficult thing to handle when it has to be so diversified. It's fine for us to specialize in certain things, but when you're a county manager, you can't go with just what you're specialized in. You know road and bridge, right, but maybe you don't know all the others. So your research on that to do your responses have been excellent. There were some questions in here about the one that I filled out. It says, it manages work-family life balance appropriately. And I'm going, I have no idea how you handle that efficiently. I have no idea your work balance and your family. I think it's probably been more one-sided with work, especially because you had so much to learn and all the problems you had. But I appreciate your flexibility and responsiveness and adjusting all your plans and actions when it's had to come up. So hopefully, when it says they're balanced, I hope that will balance out at some point. I don't think it has over the last year, but I hope it will be. On our specific responsibilities and talking about commission board meetings and agendas and things like that, I think our agendas really need to be checked a little bit closer. I think our backup material is often a little scarce, and that I think more training with your staff in that area too will certainly help a little bit as we improve, because that's the whole point. But I gave you, actually, I didn't give you excellence because that wasn't my choice. My choice was strengths and weaknesses. And you had my strengths in everything that was important, from team player to leadership ability to attendance and quality of work. So I'd say job well done, Mr. Ramos. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Patsy. I appreciate that.
So, when Bert stepped in, I don't know if he could have stepped in at a worse time or a better time because of what we've been faced with, but it's really allowed him to shine. Unless you said in some of our litigation meetings and deal with some of the things that we've looked at for the betterment of Lander County, and it's been Bert that's brought a lot of these things to the table. I mean, I don't know who this guy doesn't know. His networking abilities, it's incredible. I mean, I remember a book I had read years ago. It was about Henry Ford, and it was he had made the statement. He says, I don't know everything. I just know the people to hire and the people to talk to. That's made me successful, and I see that a lot with Bert. I think we've taken a difficult time, and we've made the best of it. Bert has, it's like I give props to Bert a lot, he's like, well, no, it's the commission. I'm like, Bert, you're the guy that brings the meat and potatoes to the table. And then we have to decide whether we feast on it or not. And I think he's been able to make those hard decisions, because they haven't been easy. I don't think they appeal to all, but they appeal to the majority, which I believe is important. And I can say that I've talked to a couple staff, just kind of sit down and ask them how it's been, and they praise Bert. They said it's so nice to come to an environment where you don't feel the pressure, you can do your job. I've had vendors for Lander County say, Lander County is a different place. I mean, that's their own perspective. That was something they offered up to me. I've had just people in town come up and just say, you know, you guys are doing a great job. Bert Ramos is a good guy. And I can tell you, I've had 3 county managers that have worked under my direction as a commissioner. And my world is so peaceful since Bert has stepped in there. And that's because he takes care of business. And I appreciate that, and I appreciate you. I used the same form Patsy used. I rated you that in all the categories that you have strengths. Can some be improved on? Absolutely they can. But you're a smart guy, and you know where you need to go with it, right? But I just think you've done a phenomenal job. I appreciate you, and I hope you're with Lander County for many more years.
Thank you.
Well, I'm kind of new to this game because I just started about the same time Bert did. But he's been a wonder to work with because if I have a question, he has no problem answering it for me. And if he doesn't know the answer, he'll get it. And that's been really great to work with him. And I hope I get to work with him a lot longer.
Thank you.
Save the best for last. I've known Bert as a student, and now I know him as county manager. I don't want to bash the last guy, but I have some things to say. The cry was, we want somebody from Lander County to run this county. Bert Ramos was hired, born and raised in Lander County. I haven't heard anybody complaining about that. Make a decision. That had been a problem with the previous county manager. Would make a decision and backtrack. Bert doesn't do that. Bert makes a decision and he sticks with it. If the decision turns out to fall, Bert takes all responsibility for it, whether it was designated to another employee or not. It stops with Bert. And Bert does it very gracefully. He accepts the responsibility. I believe that Bert understands the pulse of Lander County politics, that he understands what people want, and that's the direction we're in. The workers' support for Bert is very, very high. There's been a lot of accusations leveled towards Bert, and if I believed them, I'd move on it. But not one person will dare sign a formal complaint. And that tells me a whole lot. As far as your goals, yeah, I think that's a good idea, especially on the infrastructure. 3, 5, 8, 10 years. I mean, you give us updates all the time, but goals are good. So I guess I need a form to fill out. Another thing I like about Bert is his attitude about employees. And he said this to me, and it keeps ringing in my ear. It's your job to keep, or it is your job to lose. That's fair. That's fair. Bert also believes that if an employee makes a mistake, that he corrects it right away. I've dealt with administrators that let mistakes just roll so that they can nail you in an evaluation. Bert doesn't do that. It's just really a cool thing to see Bert now and to remember him when he sat in the classroom and got his work done and just smiled at me like, what are we going to do now? And I say, okay, come on up, let's play some chess. Bert, outstanding job, 100% satisfactory, and like Brian, I hope you're around for a long time. So, with that, I would say that Bert's evaluation is successful.
Yeah. One more thing I wanted to point out, I forgot, I wanted to make sure I stated was that, when Bert took this, he had big shoes to fill, never really having a position like that before, but I wanna make sure everybody understands, he had an almost completely turned over staff of like new people. And it's like to do what he's done and them to continue to function at their jobs, it's just another pat on the back to say, man, you're a dynamite guy, dude.
Okay, Bert, if you would, for me and for everybody else, would you recap the discussion that we had yesterday about money being spent with the idea that the COVID money was gonna come in and cover it? Do you remember that, when we talked about that?
Oh,
You read the fine print.
yeah, you're referring to us not taking the CARES money.
Yes, please explain why you did not take the $1 million that was offered with the carrot.
So, first, I want to go back a little bit further. I really, truly appreciate all the kind words from each and every one of you. It means more to me than you guys know. But it comes slightly unfair to my staff, who I do not give evaluations to, because I have an outstanding staff, and as everybody knows, it's not who you are, but it's who you put around you. And my staff, from Liz to Ted to, and I don't mean Ted as staff, I mean Ted as a teammate, for clarification, so he doesn't spin out on there. To Lakin, to Heidi, to Caitlin, to Shannon, all of my staff, we have a outstanding team, and that's really what makes it. Brian hit the nail on the head when he said that all of us are fairly new, so we don't have a lot of institutional knowledge that can come and say, hey, you guys should be doing it this way. I see that as a slight advantage, because we have to do more research and reading of actually how it's done. Some of the institutional knowledge that gets passed down ends up not being correct because it's been the way they've done it for years and years, and people never went and read the fine print. So there's a slight advantage to that, but the majority of all this credit belongs to them. Is all I am is the guy at the helm in there, and we have our little train wrecks, as Patsy had mentioned on the agenda mainly, with backup and things like that we're working on. We're getting better, but we are young and new. And then to Art's comment on the CARES money, is how this came about. Is we had spent roughly $80,000 on anything to do with COVID, from the steamers to masks to hand sanitizer, and we'd planned on putting all that back into CARES money when I came on. That was when we started going through the fine print of what the CARES money really was and what it entailed. And that was where we read anything that, when you take this money, you agree to all past, present, and future mandates. I thought that was a concern that I know that you guys don't have time to go read through all that stuff, and that's what you guys pay me to do. You'd think I'd be a lot faster reader. But with that said, I found that brought it to you guys, and that kind of set this county on the journey we've been on. It's been an $80,000 deficit on the things that we provided. We would have provided them anyway, most of them, the sanitizers and all that, the masks, additional things. But I thank all of you for the praise. It means a lot to me. It has been a difficult situation. The one who probably deserves more credit than anybody is my wife. She puts up with me. And, there's a lot of late night phone calls, and people expect you to answer because you're a servant of the public. She smiles and lets me do it, where she should be slapping me in the back of the head and say, hey, family time is family time, and you need to put that thing away. But she really doesn't. She's been outstanding, and her and my kids, that's really where. So.
Okay. Ted?
Yes.
Okay, we finished this discussion. Do we talk about salary now?
I don't have his contract in front of me. I believe that's part of the contract.
Right, he's under contract, so it states what it is in his contract.
Okay, so now we need to review your contract next meeting?
No, I have the contract right here.
Oh.
You
Okay.
just passed to make your motion on whatever decision you choose to make.
Okay, in this action item, it says reduction in pay, but it doesn't say increase in pay.
It says promotion.
It should say
Pardon me?
promotion first.
Yeah, it does say promotion. I think that's the part that,
Is that right, Ted? Promotion means increase?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That means we
Yes.
give you a bigger title.
Because he was in as an interim, correct?
Right.
He has a contract that you guys approved back in January, so his, he can receive up to a 5% increase in salary. Also, when you're making your motion, keep in mind that he has a rolling contract, so since he has a satisfactory contract, it will roll, so he will still stay within the 3-year contract.
Okay, perfect.
And it will be retroactive to his evaluation
So
day?
that is my question for Ted. He started in this position in July, but the contract was signed in January. The way I input it, he started the position in July, so I would start his pay if you do it in July, but that's up to how legal and the board chooses to do this.
Okay, what is Bert's salary right now? And this salary is what he had when he left Road and Bridge Water Sewer. He has not asked for more money.
Other than outside of what his contract gave him. Isn't that correct? Didn't you step in and what you were making as road and bridge supervisor when you took the job?
correct, so my salary has never changed since I was,
Right.
which I'm fine with, it's not about the money here. Just, like I say, I appreciate the good evaluation of,
I make a
It's showing
motion,
appreciation.
That's right.
I make a motion that we award a 2% merit raise retroactively to July 1st for our county manager.
2%?
Yes?
Well, what about this, Patsy, since, because he took the position as an interim, he said he wanted no change in pay from what he was making as a road and bridge supervisor. Obviously, he's a county manager, he leads this county, so the base pay, I believe, needs to reflect what a county manager should make, not a road and bridge supervisor.
I agree.
Well, I still, okay, I understand, but he still doesn't have all the educational requirements, and I think he deserves a raise, but,
Also, keep in mind that he refused to take the cost of living increase, so he doesn't get that when other county employees get the cost of living. He does not get that.
I want to respond to that comment, Patsy, is that, I mean, I agree, education is, knowledge is power, but it's like, on the same token, it's like, is the job done? And that is the argument I will make with anybody. People can talk the talk all the time, but can you walk the walk? Burt Ramos can walk the walk. He's proved it in a most difficult time. So to say that we're going to limit what this county manager has done for us, which I want to point out, this man has had several job offers from across the country to come work and be their county manager. It's for a reason. It's because he's taken on difficult tasks, and so I don't want to slight it because you have this educational thing. Can the job be done? Yes, and he's proven it. So I wanted to say that.
Commissioners, if I may,
I've met a lot of
if I may
educated people
interject.
that can't put their fingers together. I agree with Brian 100%. He may not have the education, but he sure has the skills.
That's right.
Commissioners, if I may interject, I believe that if you are satisfied with his work, he should be paid as a county manager, not a road and bridge supervisor.
So he is getting paid, did he say? I couldn't hear what he said.
I believe he should be paid as a county manager, not a road and bridge supervisor.
Yes, I agree.
I mean, does everybody remember the conversation that we had when we put him in as interim? He wanted no more pay. We would work, we'd look at his evaluation, and at that point, we would make a decision. And if I'm incorrect, let me know now, because I don't remember that. I remember exactly what I'm stating.
Yes, I remember it that way too, Brian.
okay, so what is his current pay?
Okay, well, what I'd like to see is, if we can't establish this today, I'd like to have another agenda item on Bert's salary being commensurate with a county manager.
We don't have to do that. You can make a motion today for any amount you want. You don't have to.
Can we, Ted?
Up to 5%.
Yeah, of course we can.
5%.
Yes, you can. Yes. Patsy's right.
We don't need to postpone it. So what is the current salary?
The current salary in his contract is $98,945.60.
98,545.
Okay, so
Okay,
take your
98,500.
percentage and make your motion.
Does anybody have a figure? What was the last county manager? What was his salary?
Of course, he left after, what? 6 years as county manager.
Started out at 92.
Yeah.
What was the fig, what's the figure?
I think he was around 120 something.
120?
And he started out at 90?
Yeah, because he, Sean Baker for the record, and I just need to state,
Hit the green button.
I've sat up there where you guys sit today, and I know the pressures you guys face, and I sit where I sit today, and it's working. It is working better than it has worked with any other county manager, and he does deserve a raise. And the last county manager, I think, started out at 92,000, and he went from 75,000 or 70,000 as the safety guy, and he took 30,000 increase to become the county manager. This man hasn't taken a raise yet, and I think he deserves it.
And he determines your raise, right?
I think that's Donnie, but anyway.
Come on up a little.
Boy, for the record, I was here when Mr. Ramos was put into the interim position, and he decided not to take a raise at that time, but I believe that the commissioners said they were gonna review that within a very short period of time. Is it this top one? Where's your green top? And I think that was a 6-week or a very short, review that you all were gonna review his, his status and then come back and.
I think it was 6 months.
It was 6
Which
months.
we've been-
And
yeah,
so,
but-
we've been way past that, so I would just, remind the commission of that. I've worked with Mr. Ramos in the capacity as a, private attorney here in town, and I can assure you that he does a lot for the citizens of Lander County in stepping in and learning things he needs to learn, working with your district attorney to help all of your citizens stay out of government, which seems to be, kind of the mode of people's operation around here. You don't want a lot of government. You want it to be a civil action if it needs to be. But then you want to stay out of civil action if you can, and he steps into that role very heavily. So that's just a side note for people that haven't been in that position to know that he really works to understand what the issues are and get the research done in order to help people avoid civil litigation, which people should appreciate. But I would just remind you that you were going to review within 6 months of him taking the interim position unpaid. And I don't think that was done, so if it could be retroactive, his raise as a county manager, I think that that's probably fair.
Alicia Price for the record. I was just listening to Patsy about education and stuff, but I just want you guys to know, you can't teach integrity, honesty, or loyalty.
Amen.
And I've been in here and watched many county managers come through too as a citizen, and I wouldn't hire him as a delivery driver, but Bert, of course, has done that for me before, and I'd rehire him any day. But you can't teach those things. You can give somebody a book, you can send them to school, all this, and you can teach them a lot of things, but you can't teach them those things, and you can't teach them to do the job he's done. I mean, because he has really picked up, and I will tell you, anytime I call him, if he doesn't answer the phone, he calls me back and says, hey, what do you need, what's going on? And sometimes it's pleasant, sometimes it's not, but he always rolls with it with a smile, and he's very good with people. So, and you can't teach that either. You can't teach somebody to treat people kindly and controversy that he does. So I say he really deserves a raise.
Thanks, Alicia.
Can I make a motion that we, raise Bert's salary to the county manager level, 120,000 or whatever it is?
You can make the motion.
I don't have a problem with that at all. I will support that. I will second that. So we have a motion. JR made the motion. I seconded to increase Mr. Bertolo Ramos's salary to $120,000 because of the public input and the reminder that we didn't review in 6 months over salary. Bert didn't even ask us for it. So I'm more than happy to support $120,000.
The motion Mr. Chair, the motion does not address the retroactive. Is that retroactive to July?
It should be retroactive
To when we said, yeah, for
Yeah.
this, whatever the 6 months was.
Then
Which
my
they can,
I'll second the modification of retroactive. Any public comment? Call for a vote.
aye.
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 Good job, Rick.
No crying, tough guy, no crying. We're gonna take a break for 5 minutes.
Thank you, guys.
Conference will now be recorded.
Okay, correspondence reports, future agenda items. I don't have any future agenda items.
I think Ted had made mention that maybe he had one that Kathy wanted on, but he never did tell me what it was.
Yes, I have. Kathy asked me to deliver a message that she would like to put on the agenda to revisit the issue of allowing COVID shots out of the Civic Center.
So, what was that, to have COVID out of our civic center? COVID
Yeah,
shots?
yeah,
We already discussed that?
Yes.
Decided the
She
board?
wants an actual item, you guys discussed it, I think, but she wants an actual item to make a vote on it.
And the property across from the Civic Center,
That belongs to Lyle Lemaire.
yeah, did you try to contact him, get a price?
I have not.
Cause I got a rather unique idea.
There's a real estate sign in that property I just saw a couple days ago. He has that property listed through somebody.
Yeah, last time I spoke to him was a couple of years ago, and he wanted quite a bit over fair market value,
we can't
and the
do
county
that.
can't do that, but I will reach back out to him on the
Yeah.
property, and maybe is what the county can do is trade. Maybe there's some property somewhere that he would rather have of ours that we can trade and make it a benefit for everybody.
Yeah, that's a good idea. If you could come back to us and just keep us updated on that. I got an idea about the Civic Center and maybe expanding, have an event center across there. Annex that road and have us a big event center with the Civic Center was my thought. There's been some other people that were interested in doing that in the community as well. We're growing. We probably should have a place where we could put 1,000 people and have a good time.
I do know that I spoke with Laura yesterday or day before about possibly looking into the property around the courthouse as well. I don't know if you guys are interested in that. That may be,
Yeah.
and the sheriff's office on the other side of it, that this chunk
Yeah,
that
we do
circles.
have property around here.
Yeah, looking into maybe purchasing it.
There were some questions in Austin about moving the library, and I don't know whether that's anything you want to consider now, or,
Where would you move it to, Patsy?
well, there's been several suggestions made, and that's what they'd have to do with some research. One of them, you said the senior center, but I couldn't see how we could move that to the senior center.
I think we have room there currently.
We have property down there that we could build a little steel building on?
No, I don't think we want to do
No?
that, but we might think about the youth center.
The youth center, when it's finished?
Possible, but I think that's got its own, it's not that big, and I think it's got its own, focus of what it needs to be doing. So we probably don't want it as an agenda item, but you might want to talk about maybe some of them that are down there. That
Okay,
could be.
do you have any particular people that are interested in that?
Why don't you talk to Gail?
Yeah, okay.
I keep looking at, I can't believe all the fuel that they're going through for the summertime. If it was the wintertime, I understand why, but I mean, $300, to fill up their fuel and gas outs all the time is just seems like the building really is an old building and really,
And we'll have the Mormon cricket back on there.
Yep.
The seating,
Yep.
Summit.
summit will be on there.
Summit.
and the right-of-ways, all the things we deferred, of course, yeah.
Okay.
I did notice, I hope you all read the letter that Lincoln County wrote us regarding the executive order from the governor. Did you get a chance to read that? It's in your correspondence. Yeah, he's pulling another one all on the sage grouse and didn't bother to talk to the counties or anything. Just, there's nothing we can really do about it, but it's just informational of what's going on and what's happening. Unless Bert wants to reach out and say, I don't think there's anything we can do, but we're behind you. Because it really is bad, everything he keeps doing, and it's a good letter.
And then, if you guys don't mind, I would like to, when we end this meeting, I would like all of us to go into my office and have a litigation meeting. There's some things I need to update you on with our attorneys, and some general information, some things that Ted would like to let the commission know as well.
And our evaluation, our written evaluations do need to be turned in for his personnel files, so please, all of you do that.
And when you get to public comment, I do have a public comment. That one's.
Okay, we're gonna open up for public comment.
Dora, go ahead.
Good morning. Could you guys hear me?
Yes, I can. Can you hear?
Okay. So, for the record, my name is Dora Martinez. I represent the Nevada Disability Peer Action Coalition, and I'm also a member of the Nevada Governor's Council on Developmental Disability, the Policy Committee. I just want to inform you, I heard that you guys are going to talk about litigation, that I am totally blind, or AKA visually impaired, and I'm trying to keep track on you guys' agenda. But as you may not know, image and scan documents are not accessible for people who are visually impaired or blind. So I'm going to take them real quick. I only have 3 minutes. So I have an iPad here, latest iOS device, and I'm just going to show you what it's like when I'm trying to keep track on you guys' agenda, but it's not accessible. I don't even know what agenda item you guys are on. So this is, it says, let me slow it down.
Oh, when he reads the agenda, but he didn't always say agenda item number 9. Sometimes he did, but sometimes he didn't.
I understand, but under the ADA, Americans with Disability Act, Title II, 1973 Rehabilitation Act, everything for public has to be accessible for people with disabilities. So, agenda, I click on you guys' website agenda, and it's all image. So, in order to be, for people to be on equal increase with everybody else, I would encourage you to have your agenda accessible so people with disability could participate in this important meeting. We want to be at the table, and we want to be, well informed, like our non-disabled counterparts.
Dora,
that is my public comment. Thank you so much.
Dora, I have a
great
response
day.
to you.
I appreciate you guys not interrupting public comment under the open meeting law.
Hey, Dora, we have a member of our staff that would like to respond to your public comment.
Go ahead.
Is she there? On the agenda, it does have a notice to the disabilities that if you do have a disability, it does say that to contact the county manager so that we can assist you with any disabilities that you need ahead of time.
Can you find that on the agenda, Dora?
She's gone.
How do we make that?
No, she's still there.
I'm sorry, am I allowed to answer call on this public comment? I do not want to, it be in compliance with the open meeting law.
Hey, Dora, could I get your
I
contact
can respond. Yes, we're not doing, I am able to respond, but if we want to give you if you give us your contact information, there is a notice on the agenda that says that if you have a disability, then we can work with you and make sure that you are accessible to get in all the information.
Okay, so this is Dora Martinez again for the record. I was not able to access that because it's not accessible to begin with. I didn't know.
Can you
Like I
give us,
demonstrated,
can you give
it's
us a
all
recommendation on
image.
accessibility?
I'm sorry, sir, I can't hear when I'm talking. I'm gonna be quiet.
Miss Dora, if you don't mind, can I get your contact information and I can reach out to you directly and we can get this thing kind of resolved?
How about if you give me your number and then I'll call you, that way it's not public.
You bet. 775 635 2885 is the office number.
2885. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you guys' willing to work with people with disability in the state. Thank you.
Thank you, Dora.
You bet. Bye-bye.
Get her email.
Okay, no more public comment. Entertain a motion to end the meeting.
I make that motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Now, what was the concern there? No notice for handicapped people?
This conference is no longer being recorded.